Hey there, everybody. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining me live. I can see that Diana is already here with me. Thank you, Diana, for being here live. We've been exchanging some messages in the live chat, and she has made me very hungry. She's having lunch while she watches the live. So thanks so much, Diana, for being here and multitasking, eating lunch while you're here. So thank you so much for doing that. Appreciate it. If you are here joining me live, leave a message in the chat. Let me know that you're here, where you're joining from. I'm Vicki O'Neill, the host of The Marketing Stream. I help business leaders, whether they're marketing, sales, business owners, help them with their business and growing it through marketing strategies. So that could be customer journey content. It could be strategizing about marketing and sales, connecting the dots between the two. So just any way to help businesses grow. So that is what I'm here. And this show is all about providing you with helpful tips on how you can leverage marketing strategies, tips, tools to make your job easier. Last week and this week, though, I changed it up a little bit with the topics because all of my lives tend to be about teaching something. And I really don't go into much about who I am and like my backstory. And I've actually been inspired by Teresa Franco Macaro, who is someone I had on my podcast as a guest. And she's all about storytelling. So I was intrigued by her story, but then also our conversation. And we've continued doing that. And I'm understanding more and more the value of not just storytelling, but also sharing stories about us and our history to help people get to know us better. So I noticed I don't do that a lot. So that's why I kind of switched it up for October. And then also because the last 2 weeks in October, I'm actually going to be in Hawaii. And I have an interesting story about that. So stick with me. I want to say hi to Monique's here. Thank you so much, Monique, for joining. I appreciate you being here. There's Diana. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you joining live. Yeah, so thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Today, I'm going to continue the second half of the story of like why I got started, but I'm going to try and keep it pretty short. So if there's things that pop up and you have questions, then of course I will answer them. But first, I want to let you know, I know that every week I show up live at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays. And I commit to that in every video and every conversation. And I'm going to have to break that commitment while we're in Hawaii. Reason being is the Hawaii timeframe is 6 hours behind Eastern time. So I don't think that I will be ready to go lively and be ready to present anything at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I am going to try to go live at some point on Wednesdays, but because I don't know what we're going to be doing each of those over the next 2 weeks, exactly what's going to happen on those days, I'm just going to go live when we're doing something fun or interesting, or I'm inspired by something or someone. And they'll be short lives. So if you can't join, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to be joining through Streamyard. I'll just go live directly from YouTube. So I won't be able to share comments or anything on the screen. But Vicki story time. We've got Vicki story time and lunch with Vicki. I like this. Might have to rename my show. So I am going to I'll go live at some point, but I just don't want to commit to a specific time and any type of topic at all because, you know, this is a vacation, but I do want to continue to go live if it makes sense to do so. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. The second thing real quick, in preparation for Hawaii, they have been under a more strict lockdown because of COVID ever since the beginning. And when we planned our trip a while back, we were trying to figure out where to go. So Hawaii was one of the locations. And we weren't sure if we should even attempt to go there because they had a lockdown that was secure until September 1st. And then they moved it back to October 1st. And they kept moving it back. And we're just like, great, what if we commit to this? Then we can't go. But anyway, so we finally got it through. Well, they've had this lockdown and they extended it again until October 15th, which is tomorrow. And we leave Friday, which is the 16th. So the restriction to travel to Hawaii has been lifted, but they still have some other restrictions in place. So one of the restrictions is that you have to have a COVID test within 72 hours of your final leg, the final leg of your flight getting into Hawaii. So I had to get a COVID test. And I've never had to get one because we've done a great job of just, staying locked in. If we go out, we put masks on. We're very kind of not germophobic, but I don't like germs. So, we've been very good about doing what we're supposed to be doing. And even when my daughter, my youngest daughter was, she got COVID, and it was during the time of her transitioning apartments at college. And she ended up having to come here. And it was about 5 days after she'd been diagnosed. So we were pretty confident that she wasn't, that she didn't have it, at least active at that point. But we still, put her in a back room, and we didn't have any contact with her at all. And she's very good about the mask and stuff. So we didn't get it. So good, right? But anyway, so we didn't have, neither one of us have had to do the COVID test. Well, as part of this requirement, there's certain locations that you have to get it done, but it's also a test that you actually give yourself. So that was interesting. I kind of knew what to expect just through conversations, but it was so awkward. It was one that they give you and they tell you all the instructions, and something you have to stick in your nose to get, to see if that germ or that virus is in your body. I don't even like doing nose sprays. And so to actually do this on myself was extremely awkward. So it does take 2 to 4 days to get the results back. So fingers crossed that we have them back. It would really suck if we're, in the air on the way to Hawaii, and all of a sudden the test results come back and say that we're positive, right? Because if that happens, then we have to go in automatic lockdown. That would not be fun. So a lot of things just kind of still up in the air. So once we get there and we've been cleared that our tests are there, they say that they're negative, I think we'll have that huge sigh of relief to just be like, okay, we are good to go. And now we can finally relax and we can enjoy our time. But it's been interesting with everything, just the chaos and unknowing and the uncertainty to see if they were even going to allow us to come to that state. So we're very thankful that that is the case. So 2 more days, and we get to go. So that was all that I had for the intro. And to continue, I see Andrew's here with Consult a Blind Guy. Thank you so much. Good afternoon to you as well. I appreciate you joining. I try to get to your live sessions. I do. And sometimes I just get so focused on other things, Andrew, that I am not able to get there, or obviously I show up really late. So I apologize for that. I try to get there. The one bad thing that I have is that I've turned off all the notifications on my phone because they were becoming a major distraction. And it was just something I noticed that was consuming my time and taking me away from the things that I needed to be doing. So because of that, now I'm not being notified of shows like yours and being able to join live when you start. So I apologize. Hopefully when I come back, I'll be more, I'll have a plan and be more relaxed and be able to focus on some things. So second part of my story, I actually wanted to, and I didn't announce it last week, and I'm glad I didn't because I wasn't sure if this would actually come through, and it didn't. So I wish it could have though. And that is inviting my daughters on to the show. I wanted both of them to be here for the second part because they are part of the inspiration behind not just starting my own business, but the name behind my business. So my company name is actually Ken K Marketing, and Ken K are the beginnings of both of my daughters' names. So Ken is Kendra, K is Kayla. Kayla is my oldest. She's 22. Kendra's my youngest. She's 20. And I actually remember this and sitting there going, okay, I need to come up with a company name that's creative or something that's, it inspires me and something like I'm proud to talk about, and that whole thing of just trying to come up with a meaningful company name. And it really didn't take me long before it kind of came to me, and I'm like, okay, my daughters are my biggest inspiration. So I want to incorporate something of them into the name of my company. And so I did. And originally it was like, okay, well, how am I going to do this? And I love acronyms. So I was trying to play around with their initials and, try to do something creative and interesting, but memorable. And so I was like, okay, I'll just do the first three letters of both their names. So like K Ken. And I was like, you know what? Kayla, because she's the oldest, she gets to experience everything first. Like, of course, everything's first. And poor Kendra, being the youngest, if you're a youngest child, or if you have older siblings, then you're not the first to do most things, right? You kind of feel like you're always following in somebody else's footsteps. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to switch this. And this is like an opportunity for Kendra to become first before Kayla. So I did. I switched it and called it Ken K, and then tied on the marketing piece of it. And they were pretty stoked about that. Granted, at the time when I started my company, I started it, like got the LLC in 2010. It was like December 2010. So officially it was like January 2011. But when I told them that was the name I was going to have as my company, they were just like, oh, cool. But of course, at the time they were 10 and 12. So, I mean, what else are they going to say? They really didn't understand the concept behind it. But so the reason why I wanted to start my own company, I think I touched on this a little bit last week. If not, I'm getting different conversations confused. But I had started it because I had all of the inspiration at the one company, the big company where I, developed the training and got most of my experience, marketing, sales training, leadership training. And it was something that through that training that I'd created that I showed you guys like on the screen last week, it really helped me understand that I can actually identify a problem and come up with a solution, get people's buy-in, and then own it and like lead it. And when I thought of everything else that I'd done with like the training and working for somebody else, and I'm like, I kind of really liked the way that felt. Like that was inspiring and it made me happy. And I liked the fact that I could influence change, because at the time that was huge. And even though it took time, like I left the company, it was about 6 months after that, because I had been approached for an actual sales job, and I saw that as an opportunity to get some sales experience. Got marketing, sales. So that's when I started getting some sales experience. So I think I was there like maybe 6 more months and wasn't able to really hone in on results or the overall impact of my training. What I do know is that it was training that actually was infiltrated throughout all of the divisions or all the different areas of our company, even remote locations. So it was actually throughout the country, at Alaska, Hawaii, and all the way through to New York. So, that was pretty exciting. And to see that was actually happening and people are embracing this change and that they liked that, it almost was kind of like reinvigorating to them. Like, oh, hey, we kind of need to pay attention to this. It's scary, but we need to pay attention to this. And let's kind of check it out and see what we need to do. And I think they started to see that the writing was on the wall, that they needed to start making some changes. So the print product, actual print advertising was starting to dwindle. And this was back in the late 2000s. So like, 2007 timeframe. And, that's when the internet started really picking up. So I think they just started to see that and thought, hey, we need to take this on. But that was something that was like a huge inspiration to me to really hone in on what was bringing me joy and what was actually like, lighting fire inside me, like, hey, I can do this. And that's really what the inspiration was behind it. And I take that back. I didn't start at a sales job after that. That was like 2 jobs later. The job after that was, it was a marketing director position at a company that didn't have any marketing. They had, it was a company that had been in place for a really long time, but the marketing behind it was ad hoc. It was an afterthought. It was when something was being requested or when a publication deadline was coming up, and the publication knew that company had advertised in it before. So they would approach them and say, hey, are you interested in doing, like another banner ad or, another display ad or whatever? Like, oh, yeah, we'll throw something together. And it was just really elementary. And they really needed somebody to just come in and just own marketing. So that was actually very exciting for me too, because it was almost like that transition between working with a company and just kind of getting that light bulb moment of, I need to do something different. Like, I think there's something more I need to do with my life, and it needs to be outside of like these traditional boundaries of working for this, big company. And going to this other company, it was more of a mid-sized company, but they just didn't have any marketing. So going into that position was really exciting to me because I had the support, meaning the budget, the head count, the resources available to start this marketing department, basically as a clean slate. And that's how I approached it, is like, okay, I know that you guys have kind of done these things before, but we're really going to like come up with a marketing strategy, and they needed to redo their logo and their branding. So we actually did go through that whole process too. So it's, I'm going to go into the comments real quick, just because I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. It's okay, sister, no worries. Thanks, Andrew. I actually just started another channel to repurpose content from my live streams. Awesome. That's really good. I think Pat does that too, doesn't he? Pat Flynn, I believe he does that as well. Diana, love how you come up with that name. Oh, great. Thanks. Creating company names are fun. Yeah, it really is. I love it. And I told that story not too long ago, Diana. And when I told it, it was like, again, I got goosebumps. So it's just, I know that was the right thing to do. But that was the reason why I wanted to bring the girls on the show, because I wanted them to, kind of share their thoughts on maybe what it meant to them at that point, even if it didn't kind of resonate with them, but to kind of share like their experience and like from their perspective of, me starting my own company and even naming it after them. But Kendra had to work. And then Kayla could have been here, but I wanted to have both of them. So, but going back to that story, it was just like this huge opportunity for me to embrace this new direction that I felt like I needed to go into. So through that process, even though I had started my company, I wasn't putting any focus on it. Because I was learning this new company. I wanted to put all the structure in place and all of the practices, and I wanted to make this an amazing situation for me, but then also leave a footprint at that company for whoever, my successors were. So I did that. And after that was when I got my first sales job. But during that process, the transition throughout the years, all the way through 2018, Ken K Marketing was a side gig. It was a company that I'd set up. And I knew at some point that I wanted to transition into that full time. I didn't know when. I'd actually planned on it 2 years prior in 2016, but I had landed the biggest sale in the company's history for the company I was working at the time. And the commission checks were going to be, they couldn't give me the one commission check. They had to break it up over 3 or 4 months. So my plan was to part ways, but then I landed that big customer and I had to wait for the commission checks because I wasn't going to give that up. So I ended up waiting a little bit longer. And so it was 2018. So during that whole time, there were people who would approach, they knew that I was a resource from, marketing, but then also throughout that process, it was more or less like helping startups with getting their logo and getting their website and getting their marketing materials and helping them prepare for an event and, getting the banners and all that stuff. So it was exciting and I loved it. At the same time, it was just project based, throughout that time. And it was just whenever somebody would say, hey, can you help me out with this? And what was really cool about that is that I had resources in place too, that if somebody did need a website, then I had people I could reach out to and say, hey, do you have time? Do you want to submit a quote on this? So it was just a lot of moving parts, which I absolutely love because that keeps things interesting. And I love to make sure that all those moving parts are coming together. For me, that's fun. And so that was, up until that point. Well, in March of 2018, the company that I had started working for in May the prior year had been acquired by a company that wanted to make a lot of changes. And one of the focal points of the changes was my team. And there were 2 parts to my team, an East Coast, which I oversaw, and then there's somebody over the West Coast of the United States. And so it was a new concept. And that was the reason why they had hired all these people it was an inside sales team, and they were going to be working with the outside sales team to bring on new work. So it was a new revenue type plan or new revenue type strategy. So the acquisition, though, did not work with the new company. They wanted to change the business model of the company altogether. And in doing so, they started laying people off. Well, I was the last one in, so I was the first one out. And during that process, of course, I knew it was coming, but I just seen signs. I was like, I know something's going on here. I just need to pay attention to the feelings I'm having and these things that I'm starting to see. And I was like, you know what? Now's the time. Like, now's the time. I need to focus on my business. And if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? And I've been kind of burned out with working at other companies anyway. And if you've worked at a company for somebody else, and now you're an entrepreneur and you have your own company, then you understand what I'm saying. But it was something that I learned a ton. Like, every single company I worked for, there was always something to learn. But through my self-assessment, I had realized that in each of those jobs, I was always very energetic at the beginning because it was just like, great, something new. I'm going to, do these things. And, I was always excited, just like we all are, right? When you start a new job, super excited to get going. And I realized that I quickly, timeframes would differ depending on the company and depending on the position, that I would quickly become not frustrated, but maybe bored is a good word. Because I like to create, I like to evaluate, I like to problem solve. And when you're working for somebody else, you're constrained by the parameters of your role, depending on the size of the company. And at this time, it was a bigger company. So your parameters are pretty limited. And it was just becoming too constraining for me. Like, I knew I needed to be doing more, kind of going back to that feeling I had early on. And so I decided that this is what I'm going to do. So I committed 100% to focusing on 10K marketing. And at the same time, while I was more comfortable getting a reliable biweekly paycheck, and had the benefits and everything to go with around that as well, this was kind of a scary transition, because now it's, okay, you're 100% on your own and you don't have the security of that consistent paycheck coming in. I didn't have a ton of savings. And at that time, my older daughter had graduated already, so she was on her own. I didn't have to worry about paying for stuff for her. My youngest daughter, she was getting ready to graduate. So Kendra was getting ready to graduate in May. So it wasn't too much longer. And at the same time, my focus with my daughters has always been, they're my number one priority. Like, it doesn't matter what else is going on. They come first. Work, doesn't matter. They came first. So, and then once they graduate, then they are literally on their own. Like, they pay for their own bills. I help them with their FAFSA, so that they can get as much grant money as possible. But any loans that they take out, it's all on them. And their dad and I saved as much as we could in their 529 to help them with their college. But after that's gone, then it's gone. So they're literally on their own. So once Kendra graduated and she went off to college, then I could focus 100% on 10K marketing, and which was the fall of 2018. And that's when I really kicked it into gear. And during that time, I created a plan, created my business objectives. Here's my marketing plan. Here's my target audience. And through that process, it was about a year later. So that was 2018, all the way through like mid 2019. I was focused on marketing and sales alignment. So mid-sized companies who had two separate departments, or just, somebody in marketing, somebody in sales, but there was a disconnect between the two. And there's a ton of research that indicates that when there's a disconnect, there's also lost revenue, there's missed opportunity, there's higher customer churn. There's a lot of data around the disconnect and the negative impact around that. In fact, I've done podcast episodes, I've done blog posts. I haven't done any YouTube videos, because that was before I started focusing on videos. There might be a couple out there, but anyway, so I focused on those, last up until like mid 2018, and then realized through conversations and just experience that most companies don't want somebody from the outside telling them what they should be doing inside. So again, another self-assessment of, where's my true passion? And it's always helping people. It doesn't matter, what it is. It's like my true passion is helping others. And I love to problem solve, and I love to take them from point A and get them to point B, whatever that is. So I knew that I could have that influence more so in marketing. And because marketing is such an integral part of a company, if you think about it, it touches so many different parts of the company, whether it's sales, whether it's customer service, even accounting it touches. So that was a central part of a company. And I wanted to be able to tap into that passion and focus 100% on that. And that's when I made that transition. So I did that in like mid-year 2018, and started focusing on customer strategies, customer journey content, and really kind of pulling all of those pieces together, which is what I'm doing now with these videos, as well as, sharing those stories or sharing tips and best practices and just how-tos on different areas of what I've done. So that brings us to today. I know there's like a lot of pieces and parts in between there, but I can either get really stuck in the weeds on details or I can focus on high level. And that's something I've realized about myself, as well as that I tend to get stuck in the details a lot. So I try to pull it back and come back to the high level. So I know that I don't think that there's any questions. I know that you guys would ask them if you guys had them, because I know who is here. I see Diana's here, still Andrew and Monique. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I appreciate it. And if you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments if you have questions. I know, again, this is just about my backstory, so there's probably not a whole lot of questions. But even if you have questions about the COVID test that I took yesterday, I can tell you about that too. Or if you have questions about, why I started the business, I think I got that through. And then just how I came to the name of Ken K Marketing, and really why I do what I do. I love the fact that I can inspire my daughters to do their own thing. In fact, if they were here, they would probably share with you that, yes, I do this a lot, where I talk to them about ways to change the way things are. I know that was kind of, let's say, change the world, but not necessarily the world, but to really evaluate and question things that either they don't agree with or they think could be done better. And an example would be, and I'm not going to get into this because I could very quickly get into a rant, but it's like healthcare, just looking at the healthcare system and historically, a lot of Band-Aids and, the prices keep going up, and, there's a lot of different things happening in healthcare that I'm confident there are reasons for it. But at the same time, I think we accept it for what it is. And with my daughters being Gen Z, the newest upcoming generation, sometimes you just have to take a step back and evaluate what's going on. And, is this the way it should be? And start questioning anything that they think may not be the best way to do something. So, I've gone into different rants with them. So they would have been like, oh yeah, she talks about this. And oh yeah, she talks about this. And it's really just about understanding, where you can influence change. And starting my business was a place where, my thought was, hey, I can influence change, and doing it with smaller companies. And that's the reason why I focus on either smaller companies or entrepreneurs, startups. And the reason being is because I can influence change there. An outside perspective can bring so much insight, no matter who you are and no matter who you're approaching. It could be in just like, a relationship, or it could be, your perspective on a restaurant that is going to be different than the restaurant owners or people who work at that restaurant all the time. Right. So when you have an outside perspective, you bring something fresh and new to the conversation or to the situation. So that was something that I wanted to be able to focus on, because I think I'm good at looking at the outside perspective and doing like a high level evaluation of a situation, and then quickly being able to identify, hey, here's the problem area. Let's take a look at this. Let's see how we can fix it. And then let's move on. So, and that just to me makes a huge difference. Like, I feel like I'm making a difference, especially with small business owners where they have a problem and they don't know what the solution is. So an example would be there was a company that I was working for. It was about, it might have been about this time last year. And they have a website that has a lot of different products and a menu that has like all kinds of different options. And for me, even though it's not a company, it's a B2B company. So even though it's a company that I wouldn't approach for anything, just from an outside perspective looking in, it was very overwhelming and no search criteria. So you've got all of this information. You're like, oh my gosh, how does someone come to this website and know exactly what they're looking for? And, through conversations and stuff, I could understand it to a certain degree, but at the same time, there were opportunities to really hone in on making it a better user experience. So that's what we ended up doing. It was, because that was their main property. They were doing some things out on social media, but that, everybody was coming to the website because they could order online, they could reorder online. And, but it really needed to be more succinct. And they hadn't asked, it's a smaller company, so you have multiple people doing multiple things. They had never really asked their customers if they were overwhelmed when they come to their website, especially new customers or prospects, people who chose not to go with them. And that was one of the things I said, that's, priority one. We need to identify what the problem areas are with your prospects. Like, why aren't they continuing through the process? And that was one of the reasons. The other one was that they just didn't feel like they were being followed up with in a timely manner. The product that they were selling was something that was critical and it took time. But if you're not going to spend time and follow up and nurture that relationship through the process, then you're going to lose customers or potential customers. And their existing customers were saying that they thought that it was overwhelming at first, but because they had this unique feature of customizing, it was like a software solution. So they sold hardware, but then they also, and what made them unique is that they created a software behind the scenes that they could use on their computers. And it made all of the processing and ordering and everything super easy. So that was the reason why they had gone with them. But it was, it was still something that, thinking back, they were like, yeah, it was kind of confusing, but because we wanted to streamline this process, we wanted to go with you guys. So they kind of worked through that up front, and then through the process, it ended up being a little bit better. So that would be an example. It was like really honing in on, here's what you're doing today, but if you want to increase your business, if you want to expand your customer base, if you want to convert more of your leads to sales, then here's what we need to do. And that's what they wanted to do. So I helped them come up with a plan, and we could see it from, here's what it is today, and then let's go through these steps, and then here's what it's going to look like tomorrow. So it took some time because, again, a small business, they're wearing multiple hats and they don't have time to focus on a plan the way that, we plan it out. Sometimes things come up and things break and people leave, and it's just what happens. So it was just one of those experiences that stands out to me because it was a great example of a small business owner who is so ingrained in their business that they know what they want to do. And because it's not happening, they don't know what to do about it. And again, that outside perspective coming in is where, it can truly shed some light on the possibilities, beyond what you can even possibly expect. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Monique. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun in Hawaii. I can't wait. 2 more days. 2 more days. Andrew, what day do you leave for your vacation again? I leave on Friday, which is the 16th. We leave super early. When will you be back? Curious so I can plan ahead because I have you on schedule weekly. Thanks so much for that. We will be back on November 1st. So I think that's November 4th. It'll be that first Wednesday in November is when I'll be back live. So if you want to take me off the calendar, yeah, so November 4th, I'll be live again here at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll go live at some point while we're there. I'll try to go on Wednesdays, but it'll definitely be later. I would say it probably wouldn't be before 3 p.m. Eastern, but again, who knows? If I'm up early and Tom's wanting to go do something or he's sleeping in late or something, I could always, go out, do like a 10-minute live or something. I don't know. I'm just going to wing it. Vacations aren't supposed to be that planned, right? Right. When you started your LLC, did you have to have a business plan already for filing the paperwork with the state? I did not have to have a business plan to file. It was actually super simple, Andrew. I just went to, and I'd done some research to find out what I needed to do, but it was really easy to establish my business as an LLC and get the EIN, the employee or the employer identification number. So I just went through an attorney and got the paperwork all created and he approved it. And it was really easy. I think there was some time though between when you actually got you got the paperwork to complete and then when it got filed and then when you got your EIN number. I don't remember the time frames because it was such a long time ago. I just know that it wasn't that same day. So it might've been a couple of weeks. But I did not have to do that to get the LLC created or filed with the state. I don't know. I do remember doing some research and finding that there were different rules for different states. So you may want to look and see, or even, I don't know if you can contact an attorney that focuses on LLCs and ask them what's required, or online, they might have some information too as to what you need to actually file for LLC. You're leaving on my birthday now and you're even more jealous. That's right. I think I have your birthday on my calendar, Andrew, because I think you'd mentioned that before. Let me check. I think I put you on here for Friday. No, I don't have it on here. I thought I did. It's October 16th, right? I think you said the day I leave, not the day I come back. Let me see. I put it on the day I come back. Nope. I did have it on there. I'm sorry. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that before. So I'll put that down. Can I stow away in your luggage? If we have room. We're taking it up for 2 weeks. I'm getting an attorney through Legal Shield. Awesome. Yeah, I think I did the, that was through a different company that I went through. I started a different company with 2 other people. And we went through, actually it wasn't Legal Shield, it was Legal Zoom. So that was one that we had gone through too. And that was not a success. I wish it could have been. It was awesome. I loved it, but it just wasn't meant to be. Yeah. So do you guys have any other questions for starting a business or anything with my backstory or anything that you guys want to know? Obviously, you can ask me at any point. It doesn't have to be limited to this, but good opportunity to do so, right? Thought I'd open it up, see if you did. Yeah, so I think I got everything on here. Great story. Thanks, Diana. Appreciate that. I hope your lunch was good. I don't know if you guys saw that in the chat. She had a delicious lunch plan. I'm actually super hungry right now, so that's going to be the first thing I do when I'm done here. Is do that and then catch up on all that lost time from yesterday getting the COVID testing. It was didn't take that long to take the test, but the location I went to was having a lot of computer and technical problems. So what should have been about an hour and 15 trip, because I had to go 30 minutes to get the test. There's certain places you have to go. And then, take the test and then come back. Ended up being about a 4-hour trip because of the technical difficulties that they were having. So that was not fun, considering I didn't bring a charger, I didn't bring food, water, or a laptop. I just sat in the line, literally looking at not much of anything. So, but I lost seriously like half a day. I lost 4 hours of time yesterday. So everything I'd planned on getting done now has been pushed to today. So I got to get it done before tomorrow night because we leave super early on Friday. All right, good. I am so glad, Diana. It was good. Now, if only I wish I had some of that, or you could transport something to me so I can have the same thing. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, you guys. I appreciate it. If you can join the live whenever I go live, that'd be great. If not, it'll be someplace in Hawaii. So a different background. You won't have the same background all the time. I'll see if Tom wants to get on there with me, join me on a live. I know I did it when we went last time. He actually brought his drone And we got some really cool shots of his drone, not just on the live, but um, like that we included and created and put in a video that he put in a video from our trip. So um, that was something that was super fun. But I did a live while he was doing the drone when we were on Oahu. And I just remember it being super bright and I couldn't see the screen or anything. So it could, I don't even know if I still have it. I'm assuming I still have it on my YouTube channel. Um, but it would probably be interesting to watch. I know it was like, it wasn't very long because we were just doing it. And I couldn't even focus on where the drone was because it was so bright. So it was funny. But yeah, if there's anything fun that we're doing, you know, and I think that it will be a good time to go live at that time, then I'll do that. But you'll definitely have a more interesting background. It'll be sunny, hopefully, not this grayness. Awesome. The pot roast was so juicy, you missed out. Dang it. You're making me so hungry. Andrew, I will keep a watch for notifications while you're away. Hope you have lots of fun. Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys being here and supporting me too. I know you have plenty of other things that you could be doing. So I really appreciate you being here. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Since there's no questions or anything else, I will let you guys go. Thanks again for being here live. If you're watching the replay, don't forget to like. If you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a comment if you would like to do that as well, or any questions that you have. All right. All right. I'll see you guys again officially here in November, but I might see you when I'm in Hawaii too. All right. All right. See you guys. Thanks.